All right, here we are back on another episode of Chasing Labels, spy number 5. Man, early days.
I know.
I'm Stephen Billings.
These are limited edition days.
Limited editions. These are the ones that are going to be out of print soon.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He's going to go for super big bucks on eBay.
Yeah. I'm Stephen Billings, and as always, Andrew Cabral is with me. What's up, man?
I'm doing well. Back together again. I say this every single episode. The 2 weeks that we film in conjunction with go by super fast. Felt like we were just here yesterday.
Yeah, and to be honest, I'm a little surprised. We didn't get as many announcements as we usually get. Like usually every week I feel like I'm overwhelmed and we got a lot to talk about. I mean, we still got a lot to talk about, but we thought Criterion was going to drop something. We thought maybe Indicator was going to drop their stuff, but we just missed them, I guess. Maybe we're gonna have to do an impromptu episode next week, I think.
Yeah, the irony is that it'll drop during a week that we're not recording.
Probably.
That'll be what'll happen, knowing our luck.
Well, but this week we also got another guest. Last week we had Aaron West, and also now this week we got another player here in the podcasting game. He does the podcast Film Baby Film. We have Jon Laubinger here. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great, Stephen. Thanks for having me on. Andrew, it's so great to finally meet you after listening to you guys on your podcast. And Stephen and I know each other from our Facebook groups, but yeah, I'm excited to talk to you guys.
Yeah, and this is the first time talking to you, of course, in person, though, so on webcam. But yeah, we enjoy chatting about, I think we first came through chatting on the Criterion Now group, and John's always really gracious and always, is good. He brings up the conversations. He joined our Facebook group for this and was, interacting. So we really appreciate you having some enthusiasm for this new thing we got going on here.
Of course, man. Yeah, people usually have me as their first guest when they're first starting out a podcast because it's like I'll just talk, so they don't even have to worry about like if they're just getting their feet wet. I'll just rip. But it was probably smart for you guys to have Aaron on as your first. I know you guys have been, you guys are podcasting pros, but like now that you guys are taking on a slightly different format, like having Aaron on first is probably pretty smart because, man, that guy, he got a much he got to talk about like what 100 new releases. And so Aaron's rapid fire. I'm the guy to bring on when there's no releases coming out and you just want to go real deep on one of Barbara Stanwyck's like least popular movies. Like I'm your man.
All right, so you're telling me we did a good job putting you on the lesser, like we would have had like a 5-hour podcast if we'd have put you on last episode. You're saying?
Oh, absolutely,
okay,
yeah.
right.
Although I have to say I'm very excited to get some of the new releases off the Ron Explorations label. So.
Yeah, I mean, look, let me ask you this. I don't know if you've thought about this. And Andrew, I know we didn't get a lot of responses to the, I put it out there. I wanted people to give us some answers. I know Dan sent me one. He said if he started his own boutique label, he would call it Bleacher Features. And it would be all sports movies, and I think he had he does his own podcast already, kind of like that. So I think he just wanted to meld them together. But if you could do it off the top of your head, John, what would you call your label, and what would be some releases?
Yeah, absolutely. It would be Swedish focused.
Nice. All Bergman all the time.
It would be so niche. It would basically be like Ingmar Bergman's friends. It would be, because obviously there's so much coverage of Ingmar Bergman, but Svensk Industries and all of the other. Sorry, my wife is just coming out. She's going to bed and she's let me know I'm being too loud. I'm getting fired up now that I'm talking about my fantasy. Babe, just close the doors. Sorry, guys.
Oh, it's all good. It's all good.
Yeah, no, marriage life. Now I have to. See, I don't know, get volume control somehow.
I wait until my wife is not home. I try to plan my podcasts when she's at work, and that's why it's so quiet here.
That's smart.
No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I think my label would be all of the other great Swedish film that we haven't gotten here yet in the United States.
Cool.
They just invest so much like a disproportionate amount of their GDP goes to the arts and goes to film and all that stuff. And they've just had like for 100 years have just like punched way above their weight in terms of the film industry. And I'd like to get more of that here to the United States.
Oh, okay. Well, I can't wait to see what your label does. Do you have a start date? Is it going to be sometime this year, next year? I don't know. I'll stay in touch with you. But
thank you.
All right. So now that all the chitter chatter is done, let's I guess get into the meat. Let's get this started on these. Now, a couple of these things are more like kind of announcements more than they are like legitimate release announcements. They're more like just little news tidbits. So the first things we're going to talk about here are that Second Sight. Once again, Second Sight's kind of going to lead our show here. They have gotten a couple updates here. They've been talking about The Hitcher for a while now and trying to get a good release of this out again. And it looks like finally they're confirming that they're going to be putting out a Blu-ray. They wanted to do a 4K, but apparently they haven't got enough of the original elements to really do a 4K. So it looks like they're finally saying that it's happening. So have you guys seen The Hitcher, and what do you think, Andrew?
Yeah, I've seen The Hitcher. For those of you who are not, informed about what The Hitcher is, it was or is a film from 1986, I believe. Yeah. And it stars the late Rutger Hauer and C. Thomas Howell's in it as well as Jennifer Jason Leigh. It's a great horror psychological thriller film. I'm really looking forward to this release. It has gotten a Blu-ray release in other parts of the world. I mean, Second Sight isn't
of course
a US
they're a
release
UK
anyway.
Yeah.
But it has gotten several releases in Germany over the last couple of years. And I'm assuming that this release, as Steven said, is going to be done with a brand new transfer and restoration. And apparently they're going to go with whatever is the best elements they can find. Which I'm guessing is not the original camera negative, because if they had that, I guess they would have done the UHD 4K release for it. So it's probably an interpositive, I guess. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what the state of the elements are in.
It's just saying with what original elements some of the original elements are missing. So,
unfortunately,
they're going to have to do some patch
with
jobs.
A lot of films.
But John, what do you think of this announcement here?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's a little disappointing. I'm in that group of people that got into Second Sight because of the George Romero film. What is it? Dawn of the Dead?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I got the insanely expensive Dawn of the Dead UHD ultra limited edition.
Yeah, I got it too.
The coffin that's sitting on top of my great set. Yeah. And so that's what really put Second Sight on my radar. And this is a film I think a lot of people were really excited about, and obviously getting that UHD treatment would have been great. I think people are just pumped to have it, and obviously Second Sight does like a really great job with all their films. It's going to be great.
It'll probably still have like even though it won't probably be a 4K, I would assume it's going to come in a nice rigid slip case and kind of something, because they've been doing that with a lot of their releases. I mean, honestly, most of their releases come out in some kind of like rigid hard case or something, which is nice. But it's kind of a culty classic, and like I watched it recently. I just earlier today, just to kind of revamp on it, and it's like I watched it on YouTube, and it's obviously YouTube. It's terrible quality, but I'm like, man, I really need to watch this again, looking bright and being able to see all these, all the cinematography, because it's really a really well shot movie. I just couldn't tell how well shot it was through what I was watching. So, but Rutger Hauer is one of the great villains in that movie. But the other thing that they also kind of updated us on was the long kind of awaited Dog Soldiers announcement, because they had teased it months ago. Like it might have even been a year ago. They revealed artwork, and I was like, man, that artwork's amazing. And then we've gotten no news on when it was going to get released. And then they made a post showing the film, one of the film reels, saying that the negative is at the lab, and I guess it's being scanned now. They're going through it, so they're letting people know that it's still happening. So, have you guys, John? Have you seen Dog Soldiers?
Yes, I have. I've seen Dog Soldiers once. I am a huge fan of The Descent. I actually did a podcast episode completely dedicated to The Descent.
Yeah,
so
yeah. That's one of my favorite horror films. Yeah,
absolutely. So it'll be. I think the reason why I'm excited about this is less of. I mean, it's obviously great that it's going to get the 4K treatment when that eventually comes out. I think more of it is Neil Marshall. If you ever seen the extras for The Descent, like he's a really engaging guy, really loves his craft. And so I'm sure that this is going to be the same sort of treatment where it's going to be, you're going to learn a lot about not only this film, but just like his style of filmmaking in general. So yeah, it's going to be great when it comes out. And obviously there are people who are hardcore fans of Dog Soldiers. And I think they're going to be really pumped that it's going to get the treatment it's getting.
Yeah, there's not a lot of, you could say, great werewolf films. I mean, like some kind of are like fun, but like this is considered by a lot of people to be one of the better werewolf films, I would say. Andrew, have you seen Dog Soldiers?
Yes, I have. I saw it a couple of years ago, probably during, I guess because every October I go through like 31 days of Halloween doing a different horror movie every single day. And the last couple of years I've been trying to watch movies that I haven't seen before, and then culminating with Halloween on Halloween night. So I probably have seen it one of those times, but I remember Dog Soldiers coming out on Blu-ray in like 2009, 2010, that area. And I remember in early days of me collecting, people were talking about that movie and picking it up. And it has since gotten a couple of releases, specifically here. It had, I want to say, a collector's edition from Scream Factory in 2015, and so I'm assuming that this is going to have an even better transfer than whatever that one had. It is a super low-budgeted movie.
Yeah.
That's one of its, I guess you could say, charms, is that it, for what they had with budget-wise, they maximized it in many different ways. It's a really solid film, and Neil Marshall, of course, has gone on to do, several other movies and whatnot. And he's a pretty solid director. So the irony is it's one of those movies I've always wanted to get and have never gotten for some reason. And now I have the opportunity to get it in perhaps the best version. So
well, that's always, yeah. I mean, you're the best at that. You're the best at that because you wait forever to buy something and then it goes out of print and then, which is irony because that's what we're going to talk about later. But
it is true.
Yeah,
this is a very therapeutic episode for me.
But that's the good thing is lately they just been re-releasing stuff on 4K, or just re-releasing it just because. So even if you missed out on it once, it's going to be back. So
the chances are that's going to be re-released again. And I'm notorious for that. And I'm notorious for beating myself up for doing that. I don't know. It's one of those things where I always rationalize to myself, hey, this is going to be around forever. Why am I going to buy it now? And then, of course, no, that's never
nobody
the
else
case.
buys physical media.
Yeah, I know.
Well, that's how they talk now. But the last little thing,
Andrew's a great revenge collector.
Yeah,
that's a good way to put it. Yeah, it is a good way. I'm a revenge collector too, because like even when it becomes 3 times as much as it was worth originally, I'm like the evil Lex Luthor. I'm like, I'm gonna buy you out anyway. I'm still gonna win. You can't beat me, Superman.
I'm almost like a thrill seeker. Where like
you like to let it go to the edge and then
just straight to the edge because then the victory is just so sweet.
See what he does is he likes to go to sites where it tells you exactly how many movies are left in stock and he waits till it's one left and he's like, I'm gonna get it.
I'm the worst procrastinator for everything. But I just bought a movie the other day that I've been waiting like 3 years to buy, and so I'm like, once I get it, it's gonna be like the sweetest moment.
Yeah, you got around to it, man. Yeah,
I just finally got around to it.
You want to get in a relationship with that physical media before you buy it. I get it.
I want to basically search every avenue of it, make my checks and rechecks and all that kind of stuff.
It's also like the same way. It's like the new hunting now, because you can't go to the stores anymore. So you're like hunting. You like to let it get that feeling of going around and looking and getting the best deal, and sometimes you got to wait a little while before you get that best deal.
Not even like, because of the pandemic, but even before the pandemic, all the places I used to go for, the hunting grounds, I guess, movie hunting grounds, are all gone. They've all closed up shop, and they're closing probably even more now.
Yeah.
So you got to find other avenues.
Yeah. Well, the last little bit from Second Sight here is that they also announced that, and like I said, no information, just that they're going to put it out, is that they're putting out the film The Krays, which I've never seen, but I know it's about the Kray brothers, which is, they kind of did a remake of that in a sense with the movie Legend with Tom Hardy. It's about the Kray brothers. So, anybody seen The Krays? I haven't seen it. John?
No.
Yeah.
And until you made that connection to Legend, I had no.
Yeah.
I didn't even, because I've never seen Legend either, but I've obviously seen all the that trailers for that film were coming out. You know, I was going to the movies at that time, so I have no clue what this is. I don't know if people are really salivating for it, or if this is going to be like something that's going to sneak up on people. I have no clue.
Yeah, I'm not sure about it either. Andrew, have you heard anything about this one?
No, but it's interesting that you mentioned that connection, because that's what the poster would lead to. It's also, the IMDb synopsis is exactly it. It says, this fact-based movie follows the life of the twin crime lords in London's 60s underworld, which is what Legend was about, but with Tom Hardy playing two different characters.
And in I think that the actors that play the brothers are actually twins in this movie. So, if I'm not mistaken. So they went the full.
It's Gary Kemp and Martin Kemp.
Yeah,
play the Kray brothers.
So that's kind of interesting.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah,
I've never quite seen that before. Usually they do like certain tricks to make identical twins.
But this was in the 90s. I think this was like 1990.
Yeah, this is like 1990.
Yeah. So they didn't really have the whole face replacement kind of thing down yet, I don't think. Maybe, I don't know.
That wasn't until the Social Network with the Winklevi.
The Winkle.
Yeah.
That was when they really nailed. That's when they really nailed
when
face replacement.
You know what? It was before that. It was when they did Face Off. With Nicolas Cage, and that's when they got the face replacement down.
They weren't really twins,
because that really was John Travolta playing Nicolas Cage. They got it down then.
No, but that was practical effects, because they actually did
that
the
is
surgery.
different.
That was
nice.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't believe they're making a sequel or doing something with that.
Face Off, yeah. They're saying they're doing a sequel. It's if it doesn't have Nicolas Cage in it, I don't think I'll care. You got to bring him back from the dead as a zombie or something. Like, he's got to be back. But all right. Well, we're gonna move on from Second Sight, and now let's move on. Another kind of like tidbit here. Now, like I said earlier at the beginning of the show, we thought Indicator would maybe drop their announcements. Didn't really drop their announcements, but there have been some kind of like leaks. Not really leaks, but there were some magazine articles that announced a few little titles that seem to be coming soon, from the Little White Lies magazine and the Dark Side. The three titles that showed up in the magazine were, in August, they said that the film Corruption was coming out. It's got Peter Cushing in it. And also, without kind of any dates attached to it, Putney Swope and The People Next Door, which I think The People Next Door is getting just recently got a release announced from Scorpion releasing. So there's your UK version. There is from Indicator. Anybody seen any three of these films? Corruption, John?
No, I haven't seen these three films, but I was doing my due diligence, my homework,
yes.
And these are definitely three interesting films. I mean, leaving to Indicator to just they are pulling out all the stops and looking at all the nooks and crannies to give us interesting stuff. Corruption's fascinating because I don't think it is a Hammer film, but it is a Peter Cushing film. And it is a horror film, and it sounds really trippy and weird. And I think, obviously, Putney Swope has been available. I think it was the Robert Downey Sr. Eclipse set.
Yes.
And so that's been available stateside for a while. But Corruption, I think, is the one of these that I'm sort of most excited about because it just sounds so trippy and weird and fun.
Yeah, I told Andrew I'd seen this. I watched this movie, and Corruption, and it kind of is a little bit like Eyes Without a Face, but like the British version. Not so intense or like more in the horror realm. It's a little bit more psychological. I mean, I know Eyes Without a Face is definitely psychological, but it's a little bit more in the 60s. There's a lot of that go-go dancing and all that stuff, and then you got Peter Cushing, who is he's a doctor, and he's like dating this like beautiful kind of model, and she like gets in some accident, scars her face, and then he tries his best to like repair that, and with that becomes these consequences of him deciding he's going to kill to help her, and it's actually pretty good. I kind of enjoyed it, and if you do want to check it out, it's on YouTube for free. You can kind of it's up there.
I feel like most people that can date supermodels, they just swap out supermodels. Like they don't go the extra mile to take care of that supermodel. It's like, look, you're already in the supermodel club, Leonardo DiCaprio or whatever. Yeah. You just get a new one.
Peter Cushing didn't go that route. He decided he's like, look, I'm good. I like to recycle. And
he's committed. He's a committed relationship based guy. Yeah. That makes perfect sense. But did you like it? Is my instinct on researching this is it right? Is this going to be a trip for people?
I think so, and it looks like it's going to come in. It's going to be one of their limited edition hardbacks, like their thicker ones. So I think it's worth it. And I'm sure it's going to have a lot of great features. Andrew, have you seen it?
I have not seen it. Out of these three films, the one I'm most familiar with is probably Putney Swope, because I do have that Robert Downey Sr. set, which I bought probably way back in 2012 when it came out, and it's probably like the first Eclipse set that I ever got, maybe? No. I have a couple of them, but I want to say that one was one of the first ones I ever got, and it's since been released a couple of times. I know it got a Twilight Time release in 2019, so it's probably one of Twilight Time's last kind of releases or so, maybe. I would have to check up on that. But Corruption has also already gotten a release here in 2013 by Grindhouse Releasing.
Okay.
Who I think primarily, at least for Steven and I, is known for putting out The Swimmer.
Yeah, that Swimmer release is amazing.
It's put out two different versions of that release. The newest one's really nice, but the cover...
that's one of your future, I wish I'd have bought it. Because
you know what? It's one of the current, I wish I had bought it.
Well, you can. It's still out there, man. Get it.
It's still out there. I got to get it. Because I love Burt Lancaster. But for Corruption...
Me too.
Yeah.
For Corruption, the cover for the Grindhouse Releasing is very... very suggestive in many different ways. For everybody at home, go and look for the Corruption Blu-ray release from 2013. It basically is as twisted as Steven is describing it, and in the film cover is not hiding that at all.
Yeah,
it's not hiding it at all.
Well, they're a little bit more subtle with what looks like the cover from Indicator. It's just like the screaming face.
Oh, gee.
Echoed on the cover. It's very subtle. But
yeah, and the People Next Door, like Steven said, is getting a Blu-ray release in July of this year. And if things are, as accurate as we think they are, this release will come out in August. So basically take your pick about which one you want.
Yeah.
Just like play some type of comparison game where we can figure out which one do you prefer.
And it might just come down to where you're from. If you don't have a region-free player, you might just have to get that Scorpion releasing.
I didn't think of region.
Yeah.
Region defining, but also about, special feature preference. But we've been seeing that it's been a running theme of the show, and just in general, where multiple labels in different areas are releasing the same movie. I mean, how many times are we going to get The Dead Zone?
I'm hoping a third time, because I will take an Arrow release of that.
Yeah, I know. We probably end up being there. And yeah, Burt Lancaster, like I said, Jonathan, is also one of my favorite actors. I went on a whole, I think I talked about it, I don't remember. I went on a whole Burt Lancaster marathon sometime last year, because the Criterion Channel just had a whole group of his films, so I was just I got to get through them before they expire. So I just went through all of them.
Now that we're deciding to go off topic, have you seen The Swimmer, John?
Yeah, of course. I watched it in that same Criterion bundle.
Okay,
nice.
Great. get that?
Yeah, no, Burt Lancaster. Burt Lancaster might be my favorite actor.
Okay, cool.
Because I also am a huge Luchino Visconti fan. I've done two.
I love The Leopard.
Yeah, I think I did like a 6-hour, 2-part podcast on Luchino Visconti, his entire filmography, and then I did another podcast over on Wrong Reel for like another 3 hours on the same topic.
Jeez.
So, and Burt Lancaster really brings the noise. I also really love Conversation Piece, another Luchino Visconti, Burt Lancaster stunner, and then obviously Swimmer's great. I'm looking forward to just. I'm jealous of you, Andrew, having gone through that like deep dive into his career.
Yeah, I had known him before in other things. Like I had seen The Train, and I had seen The Killers, stuff like that. And yeah, I was just like, I need more of him. So I just went through that whole bundle. Like Elmer Gantry, I was waiting a while. I was actually waiting to buy the Blu-ray for that, but I was like, hey, it's here, it's in the order. I might as well go through it.
Yeah.
And I think that's the only film that he won an Oscar for. I think was Elmer.
I was
Gantry.
gonna say that's his Oscar film, right? Which is interesting to bring if we want to bring it back on topic. The People Next Door. I'm a huge fan of like EGOT Oscar trivia, and both Eli Wallach and Julie Harris were like a hair away from winning the EGOT. Eli Wallach was nominated for a Grammy, didn't get it. Julie Harris, shockingly enough, she never got an Oscar. She has like 5 Tony Awards. She has a Grammy, and she did a lot of TV, but yet she just never got that Oscar. So 2, pretty famous character. I don't know if Julie Harris is a character actor, but 2, fairly well-known thespians who just came like this close to getting the, not the Triple Crown, but like the Grand Slam of acting, performing. So, fun fact.
Yes, fun fact. Thank you, John.
Thank you for bringing us back on target.
He's really showing us the things he said at the beginning. That he will talk. He will, and that's great. And when he said he did like 3-hour podcasts on Visconti, that tells you a lot too.
Amen.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he brought it back.
You have a lot of stamina, my friend, because that sounds like that. Whew. All right.
Yeah.
People have a hard time watching a 3-hour Visconti. I'm like, I'll watch it and then I'll do like a 6-hour breakdown.
Nice.
We'll
have to maybe do something like that one day.
Yeah,
when I'm in better shape.
Our longest episode I think was the Rocky one, which was like 2 hours and 40 minutes, where we went through each Rocky film all the way up till Creed 2. That was one of our earliest episodes.
Yeah.
That was a marathon.
There was that, and there was another one that was like pretty close to that one too. But didn't we do a whole episode? Well, I was gonna say we did. Wasn't that the episode we did where we talked about all films other than Rocky? That was with Sylvester Stallone. Other than Rocky,
we did.
That's what that was. Yeah.
No, that wasn't as long. I don't think.
Oh, yeah.
But because I don't think I don't think that was as long.
I talked about Demolition Man for 2 hours. So,
yeah, I know. Seriously, it was a break. It was a breakdown of just all of that.
Yeah,
all of that futuristic dystopian stuff. But
all right, well, we'll get back on track here. Let's.
We're back on track.
Let's go over to Kino. Just lead us through Kino, Andrew.
We're back to our old friends over at Kino Lorber.
John, are you as stressed out about Kino releases as we are? Because there's so many of them.
So, look. So the first thing, and I think we all should always say this, is like Kino Lorber is obviously doing God's work, putting out classic
it's a
Hollywood.
Joke, guys. I'm just joking.
No. I'm saying this to set up what I want to say. But I mean, seriously, obviously, if anybody from Kino Lorber is listening, we know you're doing God's work. It's great that these movies are out there in as good a condition as you can get it out there.
Yeah.
With your budget, awesome. With that being said, honestly, I don't even really consider Kino Lorber to be like a boutique label, ultimately. And, it's a lot of it is just like putting out a lot of product, constantly putting out new stuff. I just do, like when I did my research before talking to you guys, I didn't even look at Kino Lorber.
Gotcha.
And part of me is a little embarrassed to admit that, but it's just, I don't know if it's that it's fatigue for the high quantity of stuff that they put out, or it's just their releases and their branding has never clicked with me. I don't know.
I mean, I think I could see there could be an argument for not maybe labeling them as a boutique label, because as we've talked about before, Andrew, with them, their releases come down to just probably a restoration, and then that's it. They don't care about packaging. They don't care about supplements. They don't care about,
It really all depends on what they're releasing, and I guess you could say how much time and effort they put into some of these releases. I guess what I'm saying is not all releases are the same, because I think from where they started back in like the early 2010s, when they were putting out like, they were putting out Fear and Desire, which was like Kubrick's like original first film that he hated so much that he had all the prints burned of it, and they were putting out like just all kinds of stuff in those white cases. Those like didn't even have like restorations. They were basically like, here's the movie that no one else will pull it out. Here you go. But here's all like the scratches and the splices and all this kind of stuff. From back then to where they are now is kind of like light years of difference. So I don't know what happened. I don't know if they just got big benefactors with big time money to come in and kick some ass, but they've been outbidding, picking up licenses that have been dropped by other companies, so they must have some money to do that. And I know they've been picking up a lot of the stuff from Twilight Time, picking up some stuff from Olive Films. Olive Films is, I think, on their last legs. I haven't heard a release from them in a long time.
Don't they team up with Studio Canal and a lot of stuff too? They got a lot of.
I don't know, but I think I talked about this a couple episodes ago, where they were putting out a couple of releases a year to putting out like maybe 5. And so I don't know where they're going. It's the complete opposite of Kino, where Kino is putting out like 5 to 10 a month.
5 to 10 a minute. Yeah.
Yeah, but the thing with Kino is we've said this before, and like we've said now, I love them, but they need a better release strategy of dropping like 1 to 2 films per day. Like, just give me all of them at once.
You're not making it. They're not making it as special as some of these other companies make it, and it's.
Yeah, it's not like they're not like releasing a slate. They're releasing it like a little bit at a time, almost like feeding us just tiny morsels of what we want versus like an entire Thanksgiving meal. But saying that, let's dive into these releases. First up here, we have a movie starring Claudette Colbert and Ray Milland. So they're putting out a lot more Claudette Colbert recently than I think we've ever had in the past on Blu-ray. She's specifically in It Happened One Night, which is one of Steven's favorite films.
Thank you. Thank you for bringing that up.
You're welcome. I just bring that up because I think about that movie very often. But this movie is called Arise, My Love, and it is a film from 1940, and there is a new audio commentary by film historian Kat Ellinger and theatrical trailers. So that's about it for there. But they're also releasing it on Blu-ray and DVD, so I'm assuming it may have not even had a DVD before. So I'm not sure.
But it looks like Billy Wilder is a screenwriter, and this is one of his Oscar wins.
Oh.
Billy Wilder wrote on this, so, that's kind of an interesting thing there. That might be worth picking up just for that idea alone. Haven't seen this one, but...
No, neither have I. But I'll pretty much... When it comes to certain actors or actresses, I pretty much just will buy it anyway. Yeah. And I think Claudette Colbert kind of gets me there, and Ray Milland as well.
Okay.
I think about The Weeknd a lot as well.
John, you haven't seen this one?
No. It's funny. So the director, I don't know if you say his name, Mitchell Leeson or Mitchell Lyson, but he's having a bit of a moment because there's also that Criterion Channel bundle.
Okay.
That they have going on right now. Neither of these 2 movies that Kino is releasing are in that bundle.
Oh.
I actually just watched Remember the Night with sort of the female Burt Lancaster, Barbara Stanwyck. I saw that the other night and really enjoyed it. The only thing I knew about Mitchell Leeson before this was Preston Sturges disliked Mitchell Leeson's treatment of his script so much that he became a director to direct his own scripts afterwards, or at least that's what Preston Sturges said. You could never believe like half of the stuff that came out of that dude's mouth. But so it seems like Mitchell Leeson is having a bit of a moment now, so that's kind of exciting. And now these 2 Blu-rays coming out, commentaries, all that good stuff, maybe this is like time for reevaluation.
Yeah, that's always exciting. It helps us discover and maybe they'll unfortunately with Kino, I don't think there's any special features to help elaborate on why they decided to choose these movies, but
well, there's the commentary. I guess
is there a
nice.
commentary? Okay,
yeah,
all right.
yeah. There's a new commentary, so maybe it'll shed some light on there. But the next film is another Claudette Colbert film. This time it's a team up with Fred McMurray, and I don't know if you've seen the cover of this, but it's a shirtless Fred McMurray in a movie called No Time for Love, another Mitchell Leisen film.
Yeah.
So it's a double Mitchell Leisen release set here, and this has a new commentary by film critic Nick Pinkerton. A lot of these names I see frequently now. Nick Pinkerton, Kat Ellinger. A lot of these people I see contributing to a lot of these releases. And yeah, like I said, it is another Claudette Colbert film, another Fred McMurray film. They released a couple a little while ago, I think. So I don't know what's going on. Maybe they've just gotten the licenses for a lot of these old Hollywood films starring these actors and actresses. But yeah, yet again, Claudette Colbert is the reason to buy it.
Do you think this is some kind of like somewhat sequel to the last film? They both have love in the title. So.
That's true. And one was 1940, the other one was 1943.
Or maybe Fred McMurray's playing the Millard character from the first movie. They had to recast him.
Well, perhaps.
No, it's actually a James Bond prequel because there's No Time to Die is coming out, so this is No Time for Love. It's
nice.
It's the
No
first.
Time for
I don't
Love
know how to make that connection.
It does sound like a James Bond title.
Jeez, well, I'm definitely buying them now. I mean, it's I got to get the prequels to James Bond. Cool. What's our next one?
Do you want me to go what's on our notes, or just go by what's on the list?
On our notes is fine.
All right, so the notes I got.
I'm gonna make it harder on you
because it's another Claudette Colbert movie that we have on.
It is another Claudette Colbert movie, but
Cecil DeMille, Four Frightened People.
Yeah, Cecil B. DeMille. And they're releasing 2 Cecil B. DeMille films. And this is the first one here. These are coming out in August. I think these are all August 3rd releases. So a group of these are coming out August 3rd, and then the rest are coming out August 10th. So it's kind of going to be definitely Kino heavy August, I guess. Cecil B. DeMille, for those of you who don't know, is kind of one of the most famous directors of all time, I would say. He had a penchant for making these gigantic epics, specifically biblical epics. I think he had some quote, because I think I saw it on Jeopardy the other day, where basically just give him like a piece of the Bible and he'll just like make a movie out of it, essentially. But this is starring not only Claudette Colbert but Herbert Marshall, and this is coming with a new audio commentary with film critic Nick Pinkerton. This is coming out in 1934, so this is early. This is right around that transition era of pre-code and the Hays Code. So it's very interesting. Interesting. I'm not a big fan of the cover though. I'm not a big fan of like some of these covers for some of these
this
releases
looks like
sometimes.
Like the cover of a romance novel.
It does, but
trashy looking. But it does look a little bit like colorized or something weird.
It looks like black and white colorized.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it has the skin tones don't look natural.
Yeah.
To me.
So it looks like 2 mannequins or something.
Yeah, it really does. Yeah. It really does.
Yeah, this is a bad cover, guys.
Yeah, it's not a good cover.
I think we can all agree on that.
Yeah.
Again, I would like to point out that obviously any of the people that worked on the cover or anybody that worked on this film and like did a restoration, if they did a restoration on this or any other films, great. You're doing a service to film, and I genuinely applaud that. With that being said, this is not my favorite cover.
No.
It's kind of uncanny. It's like if you look at it too long, you're going to be creeped out a little bit.
If you didn't hear me speaking, it's because I actually was kind of freaked out. I was on camera. It's not. I was a little frightened for a second. I looked into their eyes too long.
Yeah, I know. I looked at their eyes too long. I'll say this: when it comes to Kino, if there is a new type of restoration, they'll tell you in big bold letters. But if there's not, they don't say anything.
They hide that down.
Yeah, it makes it really difficult for people like me who try to do like reviews on YouTube, and it's like, I have no idea if this is a new restoration or not. It doesn't say, but it looks good to me.
Yeah,
it's not exactly descriptive.
We get to a point, at least for me in my collecting, since I'm such a careless buyer. Right. I just buy stuff, so it's just like whatever, just give it to me. It's like junk food. I'm just like, Give me more. I don't care.
Yeah, but if it's, yeah, I mean,
Don't try to talk me out of it. I'm just gonna buy it anyway. Just
yeah, but I mean, like for me, it's I guess I'm the opposite where I'm like I want to know what you did because I want to know where my money is. My money worth?
No, I agree. I guess I'm just the guy that's gonna keep physical media alive no matter what. I'm just keep pouring all my earnings into it and just then my wife's gonna leave me and then all I'll have is my movies. So
yeah. So
well, your movies will never leave you.
They don't.
Hopefully, I don't have a fire or a flood or something. So
no.
Yeah, that's all I can hope for.
But another Cecil B. DeMille film is called Union Pacific, and this I actually did see. It's a 2 hour and 15-minute film starring two of my favorites in Barbara Stanwyck and Joel McCrea, and they released a whole box set of Barbara Stanwyck films, which I got and thoroughly enjoyed. But this is kind of like a mini epic western, dealing with kind of post-Civil War, having to do with the expansion of the railroad out west and the dangers and things like that. But it also has kind of like a love triangle story in it as well. I enjoyed it. I rather enjoyed it a lot. And this has a new commentary by film historians Dr. Eloise Ross and Paul Anthony Nelson, and a theatrical trailer because we still need them.
Yes.
I dig it. I'm definitely probably going to get this when it comes out. Cecil B. And I need more Cecil B. DeMille. There's just not been a lot of Cecil B. DeMille Blu-rays. Yeah. At least not for his underwork. For his main stuff, I mean, how many times are they going to re-release the Ten Commandments?
Yeah, well, it's we need a 75th anniversary version and an 80. They got to do every anniversary. 77th anniversary. That's what they do. Yeah,
they just re-released the Ten Commandments in a 4K version. So
yeah,
if people want that, they can go grab it. I think it's Paramount. I'm not sure. Yeah. Right. Any thoughts on that one?
No, I don't.
Any thoughts on Barbara Stanwyck?
Yeah, I get some thoughts on Barbara Stanwyck.
Okay, good. Keep it concise.
She's the greatest. I mean, so what this movie is really interesting. Apparently after the fact, Cannes Film Festival went back and sort of said like, hey, we canceled some of our Cannes Film Festivals during World War II. And so let's judge the films that were in competition before we had to cancel. And this film is officially the first Palme d'Or winner of all time. Because in 2002, a jury said this was the winner for the 1930 Cannes Film Festival, which never actually took place. So nice. That is about as fun a fact as you can get.
That's a pretty damn fun fact. That, if anything, that heightens this movie in its importance, historically, specifically, to the point where I'm like, why isn't this movie more well known?
Well, yeah, because you compare it to like Stagecoach, which came out, I think,
the same year.
The same year, yeah. You compare it to Stagecoach, which is, everybody knows about that and talks about that, and it's in film theory books and stuff. Whereas this movie, I think, had sort of a similar impact on elevating the Western to, to the A-list. This, it really hasn't had that same glamour. So let's see if that changes now that it's going to be more widely available.
Nice. So next up is a movie that I also saw recently, and that is Desire. And this is a film starring one of my favorites. That's a running theme here. These are all my favorites, by the way.
They're your favorites.
Marlena Dietrich and Gary Cooper. Now, I went on a just Marlena Dietrich film festival in the last year or so because I went through the whole Dietrich and von Sternberg box set from Criterion, and I also just randomly had seen a bunch of her other movies as well. So this was another one where I'm just like, if it's Marlena Dietrich, if she's in it, I'm buying it no matter what. And bonus is, Gary Cooper's in it as well. But this does have a brand new HD master from 2K scan of the interpositive and a new audio commentary by film historian Sam Deegan and a new audio commentary by film historians David Del Val and Nathaniel Bell, and then a theatrical trailer. And this is from Frank Borzage. Frank Borzage is a director I don't think a lot of people are aware of him. And I think he's one that I think a lot of people should be more aware of, because one of his probably more famous films is getting a Criterion release, or it's out already, and I can't remember the name of the film, but it's this is a really good film, and it's also written by Ernst Lubitsch, or produced by him. It's produced by Ernst Lubitsch, I believe. So you get kind of a Frank Borzage, Ernst Lubitsch combination in there, and I thought it worked. I thought it really, really worked.
Well, you sold me. I like Dietrich myself, and also you're saying the Lubitsch connection there. That's sounds like a winning combination to me.
Oh yeah. Anytime you bring up Lubitsch, I'm definitely down for like any of his work or anything that he touches, really. I'm just trying to look up that Frank Borzage film. History is Made at Night. That's the movie. And it is coming out on Criterion. It's actually already out. It came out April 13th, so I'm like a month behind. This is one I'm definitely going to pick up if we have the Criterion sale in about 2 months or so. This is high on my list. I watched it on the Criterion channel, and it had some of the special features I think that were going to be on this Blu-ray. So it was really, really a fun experience, really good experience. Yeah. Cool. Any other thoughts on that?
Yeah.
Let's see.
No, I actively avoid watching films with Gary Cooper. I don't know.
Oh wow.
Yeah, he just.
Jeez, just calling out Gary Cooper right in the middle.
That's a hot take.
Yeah, this one I feel. I feel bad about ganging up on Keenan Lorber. I feel no qualms about letting the world know that I actively avoid films with Gary Cooper in it. But
is there any specific reason? Just not a fan?
I just feel like, well, what was it High Noon? I watched. I can't remember the film I watched with him, but I just watched it, and like the movie was so great, and everybody else around him was so great, and he just stood there. And yes, he's tall. He looks like he's cut out of granite, but I just was like, is he even trying? Like, does he care about being here? And I've just every single time, because there's like a Gary Cooper bundle on Criterion, I'm like, nope, not. I have the.
I'll say this though, you're not wrong. Gary Cooper is very stoic. Very stoic.
Yeah.
And what's interesting is that John Wayne was also very stoic too, but he had some edge or some charisma.
He had,
you know what I mean?
He had the Nicolas Cage. He had what I call the Nicolas Cage effect.
Oh, he wasn't that crazy.
He's got that charisma that you just can't describe.
You can't. He was
Cage before Cage. I mean,
but what's interesting is Gary Cooper in Desire. Like that, you could see that Ernst Lubitsch like comedic edges in there. You know, not edges.
Oh, nice.
Like they're trying to make him more of a, not a screwballish character, but he's more of a lighter character in comedic in ways. And there's a lot of comedic banter and things back and forth between him and Marlene Dietrich, and I think that has to be a lot of Ernst Lubitsch like in there. All the romantic stuff I think seems to be more Frank Borzage, and the lighter, more comedic stuff, playful stuff, I think is the Ernst Lubitsch factor. But you're probably not going to like this next film because it also stars Gary Cooper, and it's called Peter Ibbotson. And this film I'm not aware of at all, but it came out in 1935. It's a new audio commentary by film historian David Del Valle, and moderated by producer Miles Hunter and theatrical trailer. And this is from director Henry Hathaway, and I didn't realize that Henry Hathaway was doing movies in the 30s.
Well, yeah, I mean, he's done. Well, I mean, we're more in. We know about his like True Grit. He did True Grit.
Yeah, I'm more used to his westerns later on.
Yeah.
Like
but I didn't know he was. Yeah, this must have been his beginnings. Yeah,
he did like the Sons of Katie Elder, and he directed one of the portions of How the West Was Won. But I didn't know that he was doing films in the 30s. That's kind of surprising to me. He did a lot of the later John Wayne stuff seems to be him. I was just looking at some of his stuff, but I don't know much about this movie. It stars Gary Cooper and Anne Harding. The Henry Hathaway connection, has me intrigued, but I don't know. It's interesting what Jonathan said about Gary Cooper, because early Gary Cooper is different than kind of the High Noon era Gary Cooper. Like, I feel like they tried to make Gary Cooper in the 30s like a romantic leading man. And I guess they kind of tried to do that later on as well, but I don't know. It's just interesting.
Looks like they got looks like Ida Lupino's in this film too, as an actor in this film.
Oh yeah, this is the one where the cover says in big bold letters Gary Cooper, Anne Harding, then Peter Ibbotson, and then with Ida Lupino at the very bottom. At the very bottom.
Just so you guys don't forget.
I guess just putting that Ida Lupino factor in there. Another box set by Kino Lorber was the Ida Lupino set, which is a great set. I think everything you need to know about Ida Lupino is probably in that set. It's most of her work. At least most of her directing work, or a good chunk of her directing work. But yeah, I don't know about this movie.
Yeah, well. If you have enough money to buy all the Kino releases, maybe you'll get around to this one. I don't know.
Yeah, well, yeah. So, Jonathan, do you have any feelings on it? You're just not interested in Gary Cooper?
Gary Cooper's in it, so you don't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, I'm probably coming off.
I'm gonna bring that. I'm gonna have to put this in the Criterion group or something. I'm gonna have to
Oh yeah, no, I think the Gary Cooper. I think there are a few other people in our Criterion groups that are in the anti-Cooper camp. But
okay.
yeah, no. I couldn't even find this. I knew obviously this was announced recently. I want to do some research on it. I couldn't even really find anything on it, so I'm not aware of what it is, but I absolutely get that, Gary Cooper had a long and storied career. I'm sure that some of his early stuff is way different. And, obviously he must have been a pretty talented guy to keep on getting those roles, just like Jared Leto, he continues to keep on getting roles. So, and that's clearly because of his vast amount of talent. So,
That's an interesting comparison. I would have never made that connection.
And Gary Cooper. I don't know if anybody's ever made that comparison before. But yeah, let's get me back onto solid ground, guys. Let's go to Eastern Promises.
Yeah, Eastern Promises is the next one. Now, when they dropped this was like a hammer drop, because this is a UHD 4K release, and this is of David Cronenberg, and this is pretty
This is the year of the Cronenberg.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, not only is they're putting out stuff in 4K and Blu-ray, but he's also making a new movie, and I'm so excited.
He is.
Yes.
Wait, is it Crimes of the Future? Is he officially working on that, the remake or sequel or whatever?
Yeah, it seems like he's just using the title, or maybe he's remaking it. A more elaborate version of that. But I think they're shooting in Greece right now. I think is where they're at.
Nice.
That's what I heard. Yeah. So nothing in the way for this release when it comes to special features yet. I'm hoping something new. Come on. I mean, you're not going to drop this release and just give us the same old features. At the very least, I would hope it would be the same features. But for one, it just says coming soon on 4K UHD, brand new Dolby Vision restoration. So they're working on it. And for those of you who don't know, this is his film from 2007, starring Viggo Mortensen and Naomi Watts. Vincent Cassel is in it. We talked a little bit about Vincent Cassel recently when we talked about Brotherhood of the Wolf. And then we did our whole episode back on Cinema Discovery Project of La Haine, where we talked a lot about him there. This is kind of my era of Cronenberg that introduced me to Cronenberg, was A History of Violence, was Eastern Promises, and then it wasn't until later that I went back to see his early, horror, more gooey movies, if you will. And yeah, I'm kind of super glad this is coming out, because I was talking to Steven earlier. I don't think there's been a re-release or any type of restorative or remaster release since this came out. And I'm pretty sure Eastern Promises was an early Blu-ray release. Like, we're talking 2008 this came out. And that had a VC1 encode. And I've always wanted to talk about encodes, so please.
Great. Here it comes. Hold on for about an hour.
Hold on for no, it's going to be a minute. Come on now. Basically, VC1, two two encodes for HD is VC1 and AVC, and VC1 was the more compressed and crappier one, and a lot of early Blu-rays had VC1 encodes, specifically Warner Brothers and like Universal Studios releases. This was back during the format wars. Anywho, this needs a re-release bad. Basically, that's what I'm saying, because it's old and compressed, and this is going to look so much better. And I'm very curious that they got the rights to Eastern Promises, but Universal tends to be very laissez-faire and very open to like giving other boutique labels their movies.
Yeah.
They seem to be one of the most open ones.
Well, I mean, any way I can get new, updated Cronenberg, I'm good. He's probably top 3 favorite directors, so keep giving me stuff. I just had to buy a DVD. I was telling him earlier, I had to buy a DVD because there is no Blu-ray of Spider. And we're going to be doing a Cronenberg episode in a couple months. So I needed to get all the physical media of Cronenberg I can get my hands on. And I haven't seen Spider, so I have to go get that DVD for $10 on eBay, whatever. So, but Eastern Promises. We love the movie, right, John?
We do. Yeah, this is one of those movies that like guys my age that saw it in the movie theater in their 20s or whatever and thought like this is amazing. This is one of my favorite movies. Like, there are a lot of movies we have like that we saw in the theater and we said that and now we're a little embarrassed. This is not one of those. I feel like this is one of those films where look, it's no longer in my top 10. My tastes have changed and I've seen a lot more films, all other stuff, but this is absolutely like a stunning film. Super highly stylized. It was probably the first movie where I really noticed homoeroticism in a movie that wasn't about gay men, but was like talking about the homoeroticism of certain subcultures that were positioning themselves as hypermasculine. It was just such an interesting, and it wasn't. I knew of Cronenberg and I knew of Cronenberg's filmography from when I was a kid growing up in the 80s, but I was a kid, so I didn't watch like The Fly or Videodrome. But I knew who he was. And so, but yeah, to some extent, I'm in the same boat as you, Andrew. This is sort of my real introduction to Cronenberg's films, His History of Violence and Eastern Promises. And Eastern Promises blew my doors off. Going back, getting a more deeper understanding of what Cronenberg's about with the body horror and with that like psychosexuality and all of that stuff, it makes perfect sense that this is the sort of film he would have made. Yeah, it's great, and I can't wait. This is the biggest release that we're probably going to be talking about on this episode.
Yeah, I mean the evolution of Cronenberg's interesting, going from all that body horror to kind of melding that into with kind of more modern storytelling, crime films and even some, he did A Dangerous Method, is also very good. This is one of 3 collaborations with Viggo Mortensen, and he's about to do his 4th. So,
yeah, and that Vincent Cassel role in that film, A Dangerous Method, was absolutely wonderful. That guy sort of saying like, "Hey, look, why is everybody sitting around here doing battle, with their desires? Like, just give in like me."
Yeah.
And then we see how well it works out for that guy. But
yeah.
And somebody who lived by that philosophy for most of my life, probably up until like 5 years ago. It's like I was watching it, I was like, yeah. And then we see what happens to him. It's like, okay, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm just gonna get all the Blu-rays.
Yeah. I mean, the one thing about Cronenberg is he's never been shy for sexual stuff. Just never been shy at all about that at all. We did a whole episode on Cinema Discovery Project about Existence, and it's just like everything in that movie is so sexual. Everything, everything in it. So that's Eastern Promises, which is probably the biggest release, the hammer drop, as I like to say, and I can't wait for it. They didn't really give a time frame of when it's coming out. Hopefully this year, because it's not part of their August slate that we've been going through with all these other movies, but I would love it in time for this fall, maybe, or maybe holiday time. That'd be kind of a sweet sweet holiday gift.
Your
to
Christmas
myself.
present to yourself. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it would be.
It is a Christmas film, right?
I think it is out at
It
Christmas.
is a Christmas film, yeah,
Yeah.
because I feel like I don't know if it's the opening or if it's later on. I feel like, but I even feel like maybe I saw it in the theater. I don't remember, but that film always has like a wintry feel to me.
Yeah, it's got
that would be
very cold.
very appropriate.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, swinging back to more traditional Kino Lorber fare, we have a movie called OSS, starring Alan Ladd. Came out in 1946. I want to say this is a film noir. I see Alan Ladd. I see 1940s. I
It's
see
a
the
war
cover.
movie. It's a war movie.
It's
it a
a
war
spy
movie?
movie. Yeah.
But I don't know. I see Alan Ladd with a gun. There's going to be some chiaroscuro lighting in there somewhere. I just got that feeling. I mean, it's another film that I'm interested in. There is a brand new HD master from a 2K scan of The Interpositive, and new audio commentary by film historian Sam Deegan, and theatrical trailer. And it's directed by Irving Pichel, who directed The Most Dangerous Game, which is a pretty cool movie. That they keep making variations of that movie over time. Basically, humans hunting humans, and that is The Most Dangerous Game. But yeah, this is an interesting kind of, like you guys said, World War II type movie that they were kind of making at the time. You know, movies set in World War II in some type of fashion. Yeah, I'm just a big fan of Alan Ladd. This Gun for Hire, Blue Dahlia, stuff like that. Well, he did another movie called, what was it? Not the Golden Key. It was something else. The Glass Key. That's another one. A lot of those have been getting releases from Shout Factory, and I really need to pick up some of those. Great film noirs. But Steven, do you have any take on this? Jonathan, do you have any take on this?
I don't like Alan Ladd, so I stay away from. No, I'm just kidding.
Good. He doesn't like you either.
I don't know what it is about him. I don't like his last name, Ladd. I don't know what it is. No, I haven't seen the movie, so I don't know. Yeah.
Oh, neither have I. I've just seen other Alan Ladd performances.
Steven, this actually is a James Bond prequel because the
Dude,
writer,
are you really
one
going
of
to do
the
this
writers,
to me? Like, now I'm going to have to buy this too.
I swear, one of the writers is wrote like 12 of the first 15 Bond films.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Obviously OSS, stands for Office of Strategic Services, like the group that preceded the CIA. So yeah.
That makes sense.
Jesus, I'm going to have to buy this too.
I know.
There's another $20 down the drain.
Yeah, Kino, you gotta make some of these need to drop in price a little bit. That's also why I wait, because I know there's gonna be a price drop on some of these eventually.
And Kino does their sale. Their sale,
yeah, their sale
is
is really the time to jump on the bandwagon. But next up is we're moving out of the 30s, out of the 40s now. We're in the 60s. Okay, so everybody get your 60s gear on.
Let me change my clothes. Yeah.
Yeah, it's 1961. It's a movie called Backstreet, starring Susan Hayward.
This
and
is
John
the prequel
Gavin.
to Sing Street, right?
Oh, I believe it. Or this is, I almost said the Backstreet Boys, but nope, that's not it.
This is the origin movie of the Backstreet Boys? What?
I wish. New audio commentary by film historian David Del Valle, moderated by filmmaker David DeCoto, and theatrical trailer. This is a movie I'm not familiar with at all, other than the people who are in it. Other than John Gavin and Vera Miles and Susan Hayward.
Yeah, that's not. Sorry, I'm not familiar.
Because I know because John Gavin
Didn't
was
help
in
me
Psycho.
at all. No, so.
Yeah, John Gavin was in Psycho, and that's my favorite Hitchcock film. So I know it well. And Vera Miles was also in Psycho, coincidentally. And Psycho came out a year before this movie came out, so it's kind of a team up there. Yeah, I don't know. This is probably one of the ones I'm least interested in, but I give them props for putting it out.
Yeah, well, John, anything? I don't see Gary Cooper here, so I think you're all right.
Yeah, this wasn't on my radar.
Yeah.
It's not. Probably won't end up on my radar.
Okay. Well,
Yeah,
I think the next one's more interesting.
Yes, it is. And the next one is Lilies of the Field. And yeah, when I saw that they were releasing this, I got a little happy because one, I'm a gigantic Sidney Poitier fan, and this had previously gotten a Twilight Time release, and I believe that sold out. And once those sold out, they were pretty tough to get. And this is the film that Sidney Poitier won his Oscar for. Yeah. A lot of people think that it was for In the Heat of the Night, but In the Heat of the Night is just a more popular, well-known film that they just assume that, but it's not true at all.
Rod Steiger won an Oscar for that,
yes,
and won Best Picture. But yeah, Sidney got I think this is his only Oscar for acting, right?
Yes, I'm assuming he has an honorary one as well.
Right.
But this is his only in competition one. And
did he not get at least other nominations? Didn't he get nominated for Guess Who's Coming to Dinner?
I want to say
I'm sure he got other nominations. Yeah.
I'll look that up, but this is a pretty big release significantly for me personally. Just because I missed out on that other Blu-ray release, and I definitely want this one. And when it comes to Sidney Poitier, he was nominated for The Defiant Ones, which is a great film that no one talks about. And he won, of course, for Lilies of the Field, and that's it. And he won the honorary, and then he didn't get nominated for anything else.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. A bunch of Golden Globe nominations, though, and stuff. But The Defiant Ones is another film by Stanley Kramer, who directed Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, and that's a great film. But yeah, anything else on Lilies of the Field? Have you guys seen it?
I haven't seen it yet. It was one of them, like you said earlier. It had a Twilight Time release, and I had been wanting to pick that up, but never got around to it. But I've always heard it's a great film. John, have you seen it?
No, I haven't seen it, but Andrew, Golden Globes, and Sidney Poitier, R.I.P. Golden Globes.
Yeah. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Inferior award show.
Goodbye. We can get rid of them award shows. Didn't really bother me. But I was going to say I have seen A Patch of Blue with Poitier.
That's a great film.
I thought he had gotten nominated for that, but I think the actress in that film, Shelley Winters, got nominated for that movie. So, but yeah, it's probably one I'm going to grab because I wanted to grab that Twilight Time and didn't. So this, I
was just going to say it does have a new audio commentary by film historian and critic Sergio Mims. When it comes to, the other release, I have no idea if it's comparable. The thing with Twilight Time is they didn't have a lot of extras. Those releases really didn't. And just looking at it, looks like it had a commentary that was only exclusive to that release. Everything else, original theatrical trailer, a MGM 90th anniversary trailer, and then isolated score track, and then an audio commentary with some other people. That was what it was on the Twilight Time release. So it looks like you should be okay buying this one and not really missing out on anything other than just that one commentary. But yeah, I can't wait for this release to come out. So, but lastly, when it comes to Kino, for us at least, is... What am I looking at, Steven?
The Emperor's Waltz is getting a Blu-ray release. Looks like it looks like it's coming out August 17th.
Oh, okay.
It's a Billy Wilder film.
All right, it's not. You know what? It's not on their. It's not on their Facebook.
It's not
page.
on their site. I had to go to Blu-ray.com to find this.
Oh, okay. Could have told me that. All right. You look like a jackass.
Got to do everything for you. No, I'm just kidding.
The Emperor Waltz, and obviously the big selling point for this is Billy Wilder.
Yes.
And they had way more Billy Wilder movies than I thought they had in their catalog when they had their March Madness sale, like 2 months ago, and I was just looking for stuff, and I was like, let me see what they have for Billy Wilder. Way more than I thought, and it looks like they're adding to it with the Emperor Waltz.
And of course, this has Ben Crosby and Joan
Fontaine.
And the cover of this is amazing. Them two little dogs in the front are made. They're cute as can be. I mean,
it does have two dogs in the front.
Yeah, I know how you're a dog person. That actually looks like my dog. The one on the left looks like my dog Fernando.
It does. Now this is a really cool cover. I love these kind of painted covers that they look like they. I don't know if this is the original movie poster or not, but it looks really good. And it looks like it also has a new audio commentary by critic Joseph McBride, author of Billy Wilder, Dancing on the Edge. Billy Wilder and Volker Schlondorf discuss The Emperor Waltz. That is fascinating. Just because anytime you can get, footage or interviews with people who have, passed away, specifically the director of the movie, I think that's always a great special feature because you can never replicate that insight because they passed. And Volker Schlondorf, if memory serves, was the director of The Tin Drum.
Yes.
And he also has a pretty great Criterion Closet video, I think. And he's got a couple of movies that are in the Criterion Collection. He's been around for a while. He's pretty up there in age. I'm just trying to see if I can find something else from him. No, because I knew there was something recently that Criterion had released, but I couldn't remember what it was. But yeah, so that's that.
That's the Kino stuff.
Yeah, this is 1948. This is trying to put Billy Wilder in context, but that's right in the middle of all of his good stuff. It really is.
I mean, that's there's a lot of good stuff in there. There's in the middle of a lot of it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Shit, he didn't do The Apartment until 1960, so.
I know, but I'm also pretty sure that that's this is the movie he did right before The Lost Weekend, or is it right after? I'm looking it up right now. Yeah, this was before he did Sunset Boulevard. This was before he did Ace in the Hole, before Stalag 17. This is a few years after The Lost Weekend and after he did A Foreign Affair, which also has a Kino release. A bunch of those movies in that era have Kino releases, now that I'm looking at it. Yeah. Oh, interesting. They got all of his stuff in there that I guess the main studios didn't want to part with, Sunset Boulevard.
Yeah. All right.
Cool.
Well,
cool.
Kino is done.
Yeah, I know. That's only from the last week or so of their stuff.
Jesus.
They didn't release anything they didn't announce anything that first week in between episodes. But then the last week, it's just been Kino announcing stuff every day.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
All right. So we're going to move on to the last little thing of our show. Usually we kind of come up with an idea or topic to talk about. And this week, we figured we'd try to, since, this is all about physical media, sometimes, as we've kind of hinted at before, me and Andrew talk about this a lot. Andrew, is one that's not as impulsive as me. I'm impulsive. I'll buy stuff, pre-order stuff. He waits for deals and things like that. And sometimes when you do that, they get away. They get away from you. They run out of print. Sometimes they are out there, but then they go on eBay and then people mark them up and they're basically out of your reach. So we wanted to express a few releases from each of us that we wish we would have not waited on or wish that we could get our hands on. And I'll be honest, we talked off recording, I had a hard time with this because I have been buying everything I want because I'm crazy. So I only came up with, I could only come up with a few kind of ones to throw in here. I'll go ahead and do mine first since I'm going to go through mine quick because I don't have a lot to say about them because they're just more about I want the packaging over the packaging I got. For instance, one of mine is the Herschel Gordon Lewis set from Arrow. The original one that came out was like a 17-disc, looked like a big cereal box. I really wanted that damn thing, but I missed out. And now it's like $300 on eBay. But I got the standard edition that came out that's in 3 cases and like half the discs. So great. I'm glad I have it. But I really wish I'd have gotten that big cereal box thing. So somebody else go. I'm getting emotional about it. But no, I'll go ahead and do my other ones. Dogma. The Dogma Blu-ray is the only Blu-ray I know of that I think maybe Studio can now put it out. Do you know if that's true, Andrew?
I think that was a Lionsgate release.
Was that a Lionsgate release?
Now, I'll look it up while you.
But I know. I mean,
over it.
Lionsgate might have put out the U.S. version, but I think Dogma had a release. I've never gotten it. I've always wanted to have Dogma on Blu-ray.
It was Sony Pictures, actually.
So that's a film I really love. I'll be honest, I'm not a super Kevin Smith fan, but this is actually one of the ones I really like of his, and I've never been able to get my hands on it. So, and I think the Blu-rays on eBay are going for like $80, and this is just a single release. I'm not buying that for $80, just a single Blu-ray case, nah. And then the only other one I could think of was that Phantasm set from Arrow, with the big box and the sphere. I missed out on that too, and I had to get the standard editions. So, like I said, mine are more about like packaging. Like I'm like a package whore because I want the nice big box sets, and that's really what my complaints are. So, other than that, I feel pretty solid about what I pick up. So, let me let you guys ramble on about what you got, John. You go first.
Oh man, you really triggered like a buried memory.
Was it like was it like the beginning of Apocalypse Now? Where he's just like in the room and he's just like like seeing things and.
Yeah, no, I'm not gonna smash a mirror or anything like that.
Okay.
Because I forgot about the Hellraiser cube.
The Scarlet box. The Scarlet.
Yeah, I forgot about that, and that was available when I first like sort of became aware of that was an Arrow set, right?
Yes. Yeah,
I became aware of that, or of Arrow around the same time that was available, and then it went out of print before I could get one, and that was really upsetting. So I don't have that on my list, and that's probably one of them.
Yeah.
So, but what I do have on my list is the first Hammer box from Indicator. Now that's a recent one that went out of print.
Yeah, Andrew. I think Andrew's got that on his list too.
No, well, yeah. It was. Yeah, it's a bane of my existence. But go on.
Well, don't worry, Andrew. I'm not gonna steal the Gamera thunder for you. You can. That's all yours.
Yeah, it's coming. It's coming.
So yeah, I mean the thing is, look, I mean ultimately, I think I'm more in the Steven camp where it's like, look, I've been very fortunate that while I've been a Blu-ray collector, basically the stuff that I wanted, I just bought, and I don't know if that says anything positive about me or negative, but like I just like got the stuff that I wanted.
There's no judgment here.
Yeah.
Indicator. I was like, I don't know if I care that much about their movies. I don't think I'm really gonna dive too deep into it. And I missed the boat. And I know, and I still have that because I have like a lot of Indicator boxes that I haven't gotten around to watching. They're just not like my highest priority. But I feel like in terms of like catering to collecting, Indicator does a great job. I mean, you talk about packaging, like they just are constantly like really setting the bar very high for places like Criterion and others to be like, hey guys, you gotta give us something a little bit better. I've moved like 3 times with my collection, and it's like, I know that my Indicator boxes are going to be just fine. Whereas some of those Criterions, I'm like, all the corners are going to be dinged. It's going to be ugly, blah, blah, blah. Anyways, point is, I'm now an Indicator fan, and I have a bunch of the Hammer sets. I'd really wish I could have that first set sit next to the others. Okay. In terms of like the films that I really want to see that are super hard to get now that I wish I had the box set, that's definitely the Orphic trilogy. I check to see if Blood of a Poet or Testament of Orpheus are available somehow on streaming or like on a cheap ass DVD I can buy or whatever. And I just have not struck gold yet. And so I'm really kicking myself that I never picked up the Criterion box set. Now, this one is, I don't know how this fits in. Like, I can see all these movies. I'm not really missing anything except in terms of collecting films, in terms of collecting physical media, the AK-100 box set is like, is like chef's kiss. It's like the most beautiful. I just really wish that I had it, on like a centerpiece in my new apartment so that like people could walk in the house and be like, oh shit, is that the AK-100? And I'd be like, yes, it is. And yeah, I mean, it's, you know, for me, as far as I'm concerned, it's sort of like the holy grail for Criterion collectors, and I'm sad that I don't have it. So that's my number one. So if anybody wants to donate an AK-100 to a Gary Cooper,
a Gary Cooper hater.
Gary Cooper hater who slags off Kino Lorber, who's, you know, doing God's work for film restorations, whatever. Feel free, let me know,
dude. Look, how do we think that they're gonna re-release that set, or do you think it's just not gonna happen?
No, I don't think it's gonna happen. I just don't think. I mean, look, we've been so spoiled. Andrew's been talking about like the revenge collecting, like, you know, Criterion fans, so many of the OOPs have come back. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it seems like every couple of months we're getting something we thought we were never going to see again released by Criterion. It's been great, whether it's in one of the big box sets, you know, bringing back some films that had gone out of print, or if it's, you know, Studio Canal or whomever, like giving the license over or letting Criterion get it.
They're even pulling stuff out of the clip sets every once in a while.
Yeah,
what's the recent one they just brought out? It was the African film, I think.
There was The Ascent.
Yeah.
Tuki Buki wasn't.
Yeah, that's it.
Tuki Buki was on Blu-ray. It was in WCP, not Eclipse. But I get your point. Like, yeah, we're just like swimming in an embarrassment of riches of films coming back that we thought we weren't going to see for a while. But I don't think AK-100 will. Sadly to say. Not really because of the films. It's just that box set is so damn beautiful and so nice to have all of Kurosawa's work like right there.
Yeah.
So that's the one that I would get.
Yeah. Well, I'm with you there, man. I kind of thought about that one, but then I was like, I don't know. Do we really want to have everybody on this podcast crying at once? So, you know, I just, you know, because that's like one of the ones I think all of us think about. But all right, Andrew, go ahead. I can't wait to hear yours.
I'm going to save the worst for last in terms of pain. For me, similar to what Jonathan said, it's definitely, I arrived late to the Indicator game, so I missed out on a couple of those box sets. And I remember Steven jumped in and he kind of like pulled me in afterward.
Look, if you've heard my earlier podcasts, I went crazy and I had to go out into eBay land and buy a couple of these for more than I'd like to pay, but I'm good now. And I ain't missing any of these other ones, so you can go see me on eBay again.
Yeah, you jumped in early enough to get ones that are now really, really tough to get.
Yeah.
Like Jonathan was saying, that Volume 1 Hammer set is really tough to get. I've told Steven many times, I'm glad I got 2, 3, 4, and 5. And I know 6 is coming out soon, so I'm glad I got those, but still not having the completion of it all is going to bother me. And I still check on eBay like every couple of days or every day or so just to see what the prices are looking at. And it's expensive. I told Steven before, it's probably like $200 to $300 on average on eBay at least. And that was like, what was it, like an $80 set probably when it came out? So we're talking some serious markup here. I know, and a couple of other Indicator stuff would be like the Ray Harryhausen set Volume 2, something I really want. Night Tide. Another one was what's that movie? The Demon movie.
Night of the Demon.
Night of the Demon is another one.
Yeah. Well,
I really love that set.
It had that limited edition box, and I stupidly, oh gosh, so the box was available at this. I think it was still available at the same time they had the standard release, and I went with the standard release. I think that's, or maybe I knew about Night of the Demon, went to go get it, and then I delayed, and then I just ended up getting the standard edition later. However it is, I had an opportunity to get that box and passed up on it. That was a mistake.
Yeah, and I've seen the movie, and I really like the movie a lot, so it's not something that would have been a blind buy. It would have been worth it, just because I like the movie. So a couple of those releases, and then a couple other ones that have just been super limited that I've been trying to get my hands on would be like The Last Detail, Body Double, stuff like that. But some other ones that are more higher up on my list is something like, actually we were just talking about Kino, Paris Blues. Paris Blues is a movie with Sidney Poitier, my all-time favorite actor in Paul Newman, and I believe Joanne Woodward's in the film as well. And I took for granted that this movie was always going to be available because it was one of the cheaper ones that was only around like $10 to $15 range for a long time. And I was just like, oh, it's always going to be there. And then one day it wasn't. and now it's significantly more expensive on eBay or on third party on Amazon. And it's just shocking to me because it was such an afterthought. You know what I mean? It just, one day it was here and the next day it was gone. Like there wasn't, when it comes to Kino, typically their stuff doesn't tend to sell out a lot or go out of print for the most part. And this one just is gone now, so I've got to wait if there's going to be a re-release somewhere or whatever. But that is one that got away. But these are the big heavy hitters now. These are the top three.
Now we're getting to the important ones. Here.
Now we're getting to the heartbreak. So we've talked about this on this show many times. Our origin stories of collecting, whether it be DVDs, VHS, Blu-rays, or whatever. But for me, my early days of Criterion, I was such a novice that I didn't know things that I know now. And my first couple of trips to the Criterion sale at Barnes & Noble, I was just kind of picking things that were roughly familiar. I didn't know what I knew now. I was just getting into foreign cinema. I was just getting into classic cinema. This was like 2011, 2012. And if I knew then what I know now, I'd be a lot more smart. Things would be better. I remember holding in my hand The Third Man by Carol Reed, the Blu-ray, and not knowing what it was. What
is this thing?
What is this thing? And now, of course, Orson Welles has become one of my, cinematic idols for me. And, of course, he's in the film, and the film is amazing. We've talked about it here on the podcast. It's taught in film schools everywhere. It's an amazing movie. Anywho, Now that Blu-ray is like hundreds of dollars on eBay. Another one was Le Cercle Rouge, which a couple of, like, right around when I started collecting, a bunch of that director's stuff went out of print right at the same time, and Le Cercle Rouge was one of them. And to this day, I hate that I didn't buy Le Cercle Rouge when I had the chance. It was Jean-Pierre Melville. That's who it was. Yeah. Jean-Pierre Melville.
I've tried to get you to buy that. I tried to get you to buy that Melville set from Studio Canal.
Oh yeah. I'm just a fool thinking that one day Criterion's gonna get Le Cercle Rouge back, and I'd be able to get it. But luckily, I was able to get a couple of his stuff randomly at the time, like Army of Shadows, which went out of print and has since come back into print, and I still have that original release. But my silver lining when it comes to The Third Man is there was a 4K restoration done within the last couple of years, and that restoration has gotten a Blu-ray release, I believe, in the UK or in Europe somewhere. So hopefully Criterion or somebody gets it and we get a new Blu-ray of it. But I have a Studio Canal release of that, but it's not the same. It's just not the same. It's another one that got away, and there were a lot of Criterions that were like that at the time, where I just didn't know what I had. I didn't know the gold I had at the time. But moving on from my Criterion woes is another Arrow seems to be coming up a lot here. Yeah, this is a double. This is the Seijun Suzuki, The Early Years, Volume 1 and Volume 2. I missed out on both of those.
And I can remember, when you talked about buying these sets. I remember when that came out. Never bought them.
Because that came out in 2018, and it was just around the time where Arrow was picking up steam and putting out US releases and UK releases like simultaneously or something like that. They were just starting to branch off into their American, roots here. And I just, for some reason, never bought it. And what is interesting about that is that I bought it from a website one time right after it had gone out of print, and they never sent me a copy of it. And I was just hated the fact that never happened. And then Volume 2 came out, but I'm one of those people, I'm particular when it comes to collecting. If I don't have Volume 1 of something, I feel weird buying a Volume 2. Because I want to watch the movies in order. That's just the way I am. And So that's an issue in and of itself.
I didn't realize, Andrew, the volume 2 was at OOP. I guess I could have added that to my list as well.
Yeah. What is interesting is his other the other box set that they released, the Tayoshi trilogy, went out of print, and then they re-released it in a new edition recently. And I don't know if it's one of those where like the first one was like a special limited one, and then now they've released a more standard one because they just released. I think so. Yeah. They just did that with their what was it? Their Sakamoto set, the Solid Metal Nightmares from Shinya Sakamoto. They just released a standard edition of that set, and I missed out on that one as well. And that had like Tetsuo the Iron Man and those crazy effing movies. So I missed out on that, but we've come to it at last. One of the biggest regrets of my life, one of the biggest miscalculations in my collecting life, was the Gamera Complete Series collection set.
Yes, there it is.
It is because it's not only that I missed out on it, because people miss out on stuff all the time. It's that I did not foresee the amount of love that Gamera has.
I don't think anybody saw that coming, to be honest.
As I said last week when I talked to Aaron, my familiarity with Gamera was the Mystery Science Theater episodes when they were roasting the Gamera movies. Because for those of you who don't know who Gamera is, it's basically a giant turtle version of Godzilla. That's kind of what Gamera is. It's in that same vein of like giant kaiju Japanese monster films, but just cheesier because it's a giant turtle that flies around by like shooting fire out of its rear end. You know what I mean? It's ridiculous. And I did not foresee the popularity of that when that set came out, because that set was selling out even in the pre-order phase. I think it was selling out. They have since released like 2 box sets of like the Showa era and the Heisei era of those films, but it's not the same. You miss out on some of the extra goodies. Like the packaging is gigantic. I didn't think that. Yeah. It's bigger than
it's bigger than the Bergman set that I would have. It's bigger than the Bergman set, yeah.
Yeah, in the Bergman set, it's a hefty set. It's probably taller than the Godzilla set as well, but it looks solid. It looked like solid as a rock. It looked like a giant brick.
Well, look, Andrew, when we re-release the Gamera set underneath my fantasy Swedish boutique label.
Oh, wait. So, the Gamera movies are Swedish?
Yeah, I was saying.
I didn't know this.
The rules.
Well, no, because you said it's bigger than the Ingmar Bergman box, and so I was saying,
okay, well,
we're just gonna release it through my. I had never even heard of Gamera. I totally would have been in this. I don't even regret it because there's just no way I ever would have bought it. But apparently, like, what aren't the last 3 films aren't they supposed to actually be great films?
I've heard they're actually pretty good. I haven't watched them yet, but I've actually heard the same thing, that they're actually pretty good monster movies.
Yeah, and it's a full-fledged like multi-decade franchise. Like they still made like modern day Gamera movies. But there's a side story here. But Stephen, please give me some time here.
Jesus.
So. A lot of our listeners and a lot of people in the collecting realm know DiabolicDVD.com. They have a lot of boutique stuff. Anywho, one night, like late at night, they released a tweet saying they were cleaning out their warehouse and there would be some extra stuff that had gone out of print that they may have extra copies of. And the rumor was it was one of those Gamera sets. So this was like a Sunday night, I think.
So you're telling me you went through a sweaty like 24 hours of like pinned to the computer screen, just.
Well, I mean, this has a sad ending in and of itself. So, so I had a doctor's appointment the next day. So I am in the examination room on my phone on DiabolicDVD.com, and they have a couple of sets left that they dropped of the Gamera collection, and it's not like the $400 that it's going for on eBay now. It's like the legitimate. Whatever the price was when it came out, $170, whatever. So I'm like, oh, finally, sweet victory. I'm going to cross the goal line. We're finally going to score. And I put it in my cart. And by the time I, was trying to put in the payment info and the shipping stuff, sold out in an instant. And it was just, had it in my hands, and then it was gone.
What is the lesson we learned here, kids? Always use
pre-order.
Pre-order, but also make sure that all that information's already saved in the site that you're using, so that you just had to say, hey, look, it's me, and then it's already filled out for you, and then you just hit buy.
Yeah, I know. The thing
Come
is
on,
that
man.
the thing.
Jeez.
Yeah, I know. All that stuff's saved on my computer, but on my phone,
Yeah,
like,
on your phone.
none of
Yeah,
that stuff is saved.
Yeah.
Other than if it's like the Amazon app or something.
Yeah.
But if it's like whatever else, it's like none of that stuff is saved on there. So I've had it in my grasp, and it was just gone, just clenched from the jaws of victory. But who knows? Maybe one day I'll find a diamond in the rough on eBay or wherever, and I'll finally snag one.
Yeah, maybe
I could just break down. I could just break down and buy the the Showa era and Heisei era ones, but I don't know. I don't want to give up. Never want to give up hope.
Yeah, you should always have a dream out there.
Oh, of course.
But all right. Anything else left to say, John? Anything else you want to say before we wrap this up?
No, I mean, I've already aired all of my grievances. I've aired my regrets. And now I feel the need to go and buy a bunch of Blu-rays before I go to sleep. I mean, I still have some stuff over at Indicator that I haven't picked up. So I think, now I'm beginning to feel that FOMO, that Blu-ray FOMO.
Yeah, well, yeah. When we have people on, that's our goal. Aaron was apparently buying stuff while we were podcasting last week. So yeah, I hope you buy some stuff, man. But don't make your wife upset like I'm going to make mine eventually. So,
well, no, it reminds me of when I was in high school. The head cheerleader, Chrissy, asked me if I wanted to make out, and I was stone cold sober, and I got really, really shy, and so I stumbled my words, and I didn't get to kiss the head cheerleader. Literally, I think for like the next 15 years, I was drunk like as often as possible because I'm like, it will never happen to me again. And so this is the equivalent of that. I'm going to never let it happen again. That scarlet box will never get away from me again. I'm going to buy it.
Dude, I was showing him, I show Andrew and our friend Dan. I have in a notes folder in my phone of the pre-orders. Like I don't buy things when they're coming out. I just and I literally have like a list of like probably 25 movies in pre-order that lead up through July into August. So,
oh man, when the mail comes at your house, it's just like Christmas every day.
My wife, I got to start sending it to other places. I got to send it to like the Walmart or something. Like I got my packages. You got me, so she doesn't start to figure out what's going on. But yeah, but
it's been a great episode. I love listening to you guys' show. You guys bring so much like excitement about physical media collecting and all this stuff that I absolutely love. So I love the new direction. Keep it going. This is great.
I appreciate it, man, and we hope that you bring back Film Baby Film, man. Is there any choice at any time that's going to come back? Or
yeah, absolutely. So as we were talking off mic, off record, I've been so blessed to have like a lot of stuff going on. Unfortunately, the pandemic, like at certain points, like probably sapped a little bit of my energy, but like things have been going great with work and got married, but it meant I was really busy. So Film Baby Film definitely got put on the back burner and has been on hiatus for several months. I definitely am still podcasting. I definitely want to bring back Film Baby Film. I don't know if it'll be in exactly the same format as before. I think I'd like to do something a little bit more scripted, perhaps. Maybe like with interviews, but edited in along with like scripted content, and maybe do like more writing as a part of my podcasting. But neither here nor there. I love movies, and basically like, it's just like going to a great restaurant. It's like, yeah, I love finding a new great restaurant. I love eating the food. But you know what I also love? I also love like talking about the food with my friends and the great restaurants with my friends. And that's what podcasting is for. And that's what listening to shows like you guys brings to me. It's, it's a lonely thing if you're collecting all by yourself. So
definitely.
Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome,
Thanks for the show, guys, and I'll definitely keep you in the loop with the next stages of Film Baby Film.
Awesome, man. Well, we appreciate you coming on. You're a very informative, funny guy because the Gary Cooper jokes were great because we know you love Gary Cooper. But awesome. So where can we find you online?
Yeah, so I am on Twitter at Film Baby Film. I don't do a whole lot of tweeting, so if you message me or tweet at me, I might be a little while. Honestly,
we all say that on here, so you're not alone.
Yeah, honestly, I'm most active in the great Criterion groups, including Chasing Labels. So yes. If you want to find me, honestly, come into the Chasing Labels group, ping me, and I'll probably get to chat with you within a day or two. So. Facebook, because I'm that's just how old I am, dude. I don't have a TikTok. Twitter's too complicated and just got too much stuff going on and everybody's yelling at each other. Like, just give me the Facebook where I can go into my little groups and chat about
let's
stuff.
Let's just start a whole new social media. Let's just do it.
Oh God, I would love that.
Yeah, let's do that. All right, Andrew, where can we find you at?
You can find me on Twitter at Cabzilla06, as well as my YouTube channel, Cabzilla Productions.
And you can find me on Facebook, Stephen Billings, or you can find me over at the Instagram where I post all the stuff I buy. I need to do an update on that. I got a lot of stuff right here on the desk that I haven't posted yet. But I post all my goodies on there at Chasing Label 16. Or you can find me over at Letterboxd, where you can see what I've been watching over at Chasing Labels. Thanks again for listening. You can find the audio for this on Podbean or Apple Podcasts. And hey, keep on watching them movies.
I know I will.